Joining me now is Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. His state is one of the ones who has raised the minimum wage every year since 2007. Thank you for being here tonight, Senator.
My pleasure.
What does this report mean for your state and for Americans who deserve to earn a fair wage?
Well, Al, let me just tell you one thing. My state of Vermont raised the minimum wage to $8.73 an hour. We're on our way to raise it to $10.50 in the next 4 years. And guess what? We have the second lowest unemployment rate in the United States of America. So I think this Republican line is mythology.
So wait a minute, because I think this is important what you just said. Your state has an escalating minimum wage that's going up, and you have the second least amount of unemployment, second state in the country.
That's
now,
correct.
You do know your colleagues in the Senate and Republicans elsewhere have said raising the minimum wage will kill jobs and that they're looking out for us. If what you're saying is true, that's the exact opposite, Senator.
Absolutely. It is not true. It's certainly not true in Vermont and not true in other states. And here's the reason why, Al. As your charts indicated, in recent years, 95% of all new income went to the top 1%, the very wealthiest people in this country. 70% of the economy is based on consumer spending. What happens when you have tens of millions of people who are working at low-wage jobs who don't have any disposable income to spend? How do we create decent-paying jobs? And the answer is we don't. So when you raise the minimum wage, rather than just seeing all new income go to the top 1%, you're seeing some 28 million Americans get a pay raise. They have a few extra bucks to spend on goods and services, and that helps create jobs. And that's exactly what we have to do.
Now, the report I mentioned also shows that states which raised the minimum wage fared better than those that didn't. In states where the minimum wage remained the same, employment increased by 0.68%. Those that did raise the wage saw employment increase by 0.99%. So not only has raising the minimum wage not hurt states' job growth, it helped them in a comparative way to the states that didn't, Senator.
Well, look, the reality is, Al, that most of the new jobs being created in our economy today are low-wage and part-time jobs. And we are dealing here not only with a moral issue of so few having so much and so many having so little, we are dealing with the economic issue that what we need to do now is not only raise the minimum wage to give low-income working people more disposable income, we need a massive jobs program. We need to rebuild our infrastructure. We need to put real dollars in the hands of working people to improve their standard of living. And when you do that, they have the money to spend and create additional jobs.
Let me ask you something. When you say we need to create jobs, something that maybe you could explain to me. A recent study shows House Republicans represent more low-wage workers than Democrats do. 1 in 5 U.S. workers earn $11.50 per hour or less. 55% of those people live in Republican districts. Why are so many Republicans opposed to something that would actually help so many of their constituents?
Well, a couple of reasons. I think for a start, they assume, probably correctly, that in many of those states, low-income working people are not going to vote. The projection is that in the next election, 40% of the American people are going to vote. Probably 70 to 80% of low-income workers are not going to vote. So you don't have to pay attention to those people. They're not going to vote. They're not making huge campaign contributions. They're not the Koch brothers. What study after study shows is that Congress listens to the people who make big campaign donations, not ordinary people, income people who are struggling to survive. That's the sad reality of politics in America today.
Well, that's why I'm spending the summer doing a Freedom Summer 2014. We've got to get people out to vote.
Absolutely, Al.
Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Still ahead.